for more on the International Human Rights Day. And this particular aspect of rights violation, I have Ms. Olajumoke Adeniyi. She is the head of operations, Hasam Foundation, and she's also a gender advocate joining me from Abuja. It's good to have you join us on The World Now. Very interesting aspect you've picked out of the various human rights violations we've recorded over the years. But talk to us about where we are as a country. We've seen some countries step up with the VAP Act, but really, how have they been able to implement this VAP Act?
Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me on here. I really appreciate this moment. I happen to be in transit, and I hope you wouldn't mind. Yes, in Nigeria, virtually every state has been able to implement the VAP Act against violence, gender-based violence, because the law is very clear. The law is very clear and it's very concise. Anyone who does anything, who violates, whether physical violence, emotional, and has been found guilty of gender-based violence, will have to face the wrath of the law, most especially physical violence, which, according to the report, about one in three girls and 1 in 3 women have already experienced sexual and gender-based violence. And the law has made it very clear. The sentence is life sentence. Although we've had instances, we've had people try and make different kind of excuses. And this is why we chose to emphasize this year that there is no excuse for gender-based violence. Some people will say, oh, what were you wearing and why were you raped? Or why didn't you shout? Why didn't you do this or that? But we'll tell you, what about the 3-month-old children, the 3-month-old baby that was raped, or an 80-year-old woman who was raped? What do you have to say in such a case? Does it mean, was there an excuse? Were they improperly dressed? So there's no excuse for gender-based violence whatsoever. And we've had the 16 days of activism. Today makes it the last day, which is the International Human Rights Day, which is all about ensuring that no human being is treated less than what they are supposed to be treated. Everyone should be given equal respect because everyone is made equal. You do not have 2 heads. You do not have 3 mouths. We have the same part. And whether you're even experiencing any kind of disability is not an excuse for you to be violated or for your rights to be disrespected. And we say there's no excuses because according to the fact, people with disabilities even experience sexual and gender-based violence. We saw one of the ambassadors here in Abuja when we had an outreach at the Hasam Foundation, the Healthy and Safe Motherhood Foundation, visiting the Honors Palace 2 days ago with the Federal Capital Territorial Ministry of Women Affairs. One of them the ambassador made a very profound statement. Some people are violated because they are known to be people with disabilities. They can't run, they can't do anything, and so they take advantage of them. So that's why we say there's no excuse for violating people. And the VAP law is very much active. We just have one more state in Nigeria who are working very hard to implement it. It's active in every state. So there is no victim who seeks justice that will not get justice that they deserve. Thank you very much.
Exactly, but just before we let you go, right? It comes to mind when you talk about some survivors of gender-based violence, for instance, shying away from pursuing these cases. I know there's a conversation that has gone on for too long where silence is not the answer here. But we see, if you take a look at the law enforcement agencies, the media, the civil society organizations, and even the survivors, who would you say is more culpable in ensuring that justice is served?
Who would I say is more what?
Culpable.
Okay, well.
Or who should we hold responsible?
It's not somebody's role. It's not one person. It is neither the media, it is neither the individual's fault. It is each and every one of us as a community. We all have a role to play in ensuring that this the victims, who we usually prefer to call survivors, get they get the justice that they deserve. When somebody is accused, when somebody comes to you and says, "Oh, I was raped or I was assaulted," what is going to be your first response as an individual? Are you going to ask them what they were wearing or where were they or why we were there? Or are you going to target and ask that, and find out and let the person know that I believe you, I understand you, I believe it's your story, and I stand with you. I'm ready to get justice for you, because it takes courage after somebody has been violated, because the person must have thought through and said, this person that they accused is not the only human being on earth. Mm. And they picked out that person out of a lot of people for you to, especially for a child or for a woman who knows that he has the capacity for, there's tendency for an image to be tarnished. You ask the questions that you need to ask, but it's not about accusing the victim. Make the person feel respected. Just like the Human Rights Day is saying, let's respect individuals, let's respect their opinion, let's understand, and you examine on both sides. You cross-examine. Do not make the perpetrators feel that they have a upper hand, or make them feel that, oh, if she's wearing something that is wrong or she's not properly dressed. We do not condone indecency.
Which is usually the case when it comes to gender-based violence. We are strongly against indecency.
We are. We do not condone it. But this is a mental issue. For somebody to look at another human being and say, I want to violate you, I want to rape you, or I want to... Do you know that in every 10 minutes, we've been on this news for about 20-something minutes now. That means at least 2 women have been killed every 10 minutes. A woman is killed by somebody she loves, a boyfriend, a father, or even the family member that doesn't want to be disgraced. And so what do we have to say concerning this kind of situation? What do we have to say? What do we have to say concerning this kind of situation?
We will have to leave the conversation there. Hopefully, of course, this is a continuous conversation. We'll be having it almost every day just to ensure that we have a society that respects the rights of women and girls and boys as well. But that's all we can take.